time to whip off that bra, pour a glass of your favorite wine, and join us for this week's Drinks at Six podcast.
Hi, Monica.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Jeez, you sound like a bumper sticker. Speaking of bumper stickers, I feel like I need to lay down the law right away, right now. These are expressions and phrases you should not use ever, but not after 40. All right, just like delete them from your vocabulary. First, I want to start with LOL. LOL. I'm so sick of LOL. You're not laughing out loud if you're sending me a text. And if you need to tell me that you're laughing out loud, that's just like, that just makes it sound like I'm insecure. I need to know you're laughing out loud, like I made you laugh. I don't need to know. Don't LOL me.
You are way more confident than me.
Way more confident
I
than
LOL.
you. No more LOLing.
I'm an LOL.
I'm going to get a little Space Invader thing.
Can we make, what's a 40 plus replacement for LOL?
Ha. H-A-A. Ha.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Ha,
funny.
ha,
Ha.
yeah.
You know, like
what?
how we normally
I was
talk.
rebelling against the LOL at the beginning with ha, 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 and then I stopped. I'm going back to ha, ha.
Ha, ha, ha.
Ha, ha,
You know
ha.
what? Everything doesn't have to be verbally economical. We can say
Okay.
actual big words.
Okay.
My buddy Jamie, he's in sales, and he's my age. And I remember when LOL became a thing, and he said to me he was really uncomfortable because one of his male customers sent him a thing, and it said LOL, and he didn't understand why this male customer was saying lots of love in his email.
Yes. I understand.
Kid
I
needs
think
an Urban Dictionary.
I think we brought that up once before, and
We
I
did.
mentioned to you that I thought every guy I ever went to high school with was in love with me, and then I realized, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
Okay. Keep on
The
going.
other one I'm going to get rid of is chillaxing. I'm sorry. I just
So
can't stand it.
dumb.
It is. You're chilling or you're relaxing. Just draw a line in the sand.
Yeah.
Cool beans? No.
Oh,
No.
No.
No. Never. All right.
No.
You had one too. What was yours?
I loathe when you say something to somebody and they say, right?
Right. I totally
Why?
hate that. Right?
Why?
I don't know.
What
I think
is
we're
that
channeling
from?
like our inner Valley girl.
Yeah.
Doesn't it sound like gay?
Leave it with,
right?
yeah. Cameron's spinning, right? Leave it with square pegs. I'm done.
You know, I've got an ongoing list of words I'd like to see gone. I'm going to post that. I just have to find the list because I am one of those anal people that keeps an ongoing list of things that drive me crazy. And foods that I don't like.
You have foods you don't like?
Are you kidding? I have a list of 57 items that I don't like, including candies and jellied fruit and mints and mixing fruit with meat, which I actually changed my mind on. Yeah, I've got a whole list. I don't think anyone's interested in my list.
What about head cheese?
Oh,
Jelly.
God. Are you kidding me right now? Oh, that is gag reflexible.
With some nice sauerkraut on the side.
Oh,
And,
oh my God. I remember my first job was working in a deli. And I was like 17 and I went to this insane party and I had to go the next day and some jerk ordered sliced head cheese. I had to put it through the slicer.
Where was this? Was this
It was
name
on
Wolfgang?
France. It was your
It was
dad.
my dad, man, for
Yes.
sure.
Like, you just keep slicing.
You keep slicing, little girl.
vomit
I know
to the
what you
side.
were up to last night. I did the same thing in my youth. Now you're going to slice the head cheese. Okay.
Okay, like, I will never understand head cheese. It is on my list, though, of things I cannot stomach. Speaking of head cheese, let's talk about your head for a minute.
My head?
Yeah.
What about it?
Well, I was admiring, is this year's Three Little Wishes
I
earrings?
thought you meant my new hairstyle.
No.
Did you notice I got my hair cut yesterday?
No.
I
Your
got
hair
more
is
layers.
very long. It
Yeah,
is
I
very
got more
fluffy.
layers.
I love
And
it.
I go to Lyft, and so do you.
Oh,
our
really?
friends
Our
Heidi
girls.
and Tracy, the awesome ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? They are so good. I showed Heidi a picture of what I wanted, like in a cut, and she goes, "Okay, so what you want is rock star hair, right?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Let's put the pictures away. I know, I got you covered."
It looks
so
great. I love the layers. I think because
love
last
the
time your
layers,
hair was
too.
up.
Yeah, I was starting to look a little too Janis Joplin.
Well, I'm
A
getting
little
the...
more Joan Jett is what I want.
I like it. It's very rockin'.
Thank you. But the earrings.
But the earrings are beautiful. I buy these every year from you because, well, I'll let you talk about the charitable component, but I buy these for gifts every year. And since we're coming up to Christmas, I do have to put my order in. But yeah, I give them to my in-laws, my mom, my girlfriends, and they love them. But they're so sparkly and fantastic. And
They are
I love the
sparkly.
Swarovski in them.
Yeah, thank you. So they're called the Three Little Wishes because we actually started this fund 5 years ago. What we do is every year we help, my husband and I created this together, so we help a family where either mom or dad has cancer and they are financially strapped from the burdens of the cancer, and we donate the proceeds that we collect to their children. So the very first year we did it, we were inspired to do it because a good friend of ours, Tom Preston, he was diagnosed with a bile duct cancer in 2010. And the story about Tom is that he was my brother's best friend. And when we were all in high school, he had leukemia. And I guess he was probably 17 or 18 at the time, and McMaster was doing all this testing, and they said to him, you know, Tom, if you ever want to have children one day, we're sort of doing this like advanced research or whatever where we think we can freeze your sperm, and if you meet a woman one day and you want to have kids, you can use that sperm before we get into the heavy-duty chemo and everything, right? So Tom agreed to do that. And there was a huge article in the Hamilton Spectator at the time. It was a big news story. And so sure enough, Tom went through university, decided he wanted to be a cancer researcher himself, and met this wonderful woman. And they got married, and they decided they wanted to have children. So Tom said, well, we can because I did this, and let's hope it works.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they got pregnant with triplets, with 2 girls and a boy, and so that's what the Three Little Wishes are named after.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. And so every year you help a different family.
That's right. So every year we help a different family. This year we're helping a young man. He's 35 years old, and he's suffering, and he and his wife have 6 children, and they live on a farm, and he's self-employed, so... Yeah, amazing people. So what we do is, we sell these earrings and we donate the proceeds to that family, and it's great. People are so supportive, and by the way, if anyone is interested, they are on our website on glamjewels.com, and if you order a 2-pack of them, we pay for the shipping.
Oh, that's great.
But the other thing, every year we have an open house at our studio in Burlington. So I'll leave all the information on where that is. But we're open the 16th, 17th, 18th. I think, is that the Wednesday? Whatever that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is. I'll leave all the details. And just for last minute shopping, and we'll have lots of those earrings there. Idea. So.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to have people come and check out where we are.
Yeah, I love your studio. But I also think, like, these earrings are great for, like, not stocking stuffers, because I find they're more of a gift, like a primary gift. But they're also wonderful when you're going to someone's house that you know well. Like, they're a beautiful hostess gift.
Yes, that's true.
So I love them, and I love that you can order them. So I've got some girlfriends out west, and I can just order them to them.
Yeah, that's right. We can ship to whatever address you want, and they're $35, and they're made with Swarovski crystal.
They're gorgeous. They're very sparkly.
Thank you.
As
they're
a
so sparkly.
star should be.
Yes.
So, before we started the podcast tonight, I was on my phone. You were interrupting me while I was engaging.
You were so irritated.
You're irritated. I was trying to do something on my...
Well, I had something to say. Like, pour me another glass of wine, Lloyd. Right?
So, I got a topic that we're going to talk about tonight, and it is on the heels of that little incident. But I also know that you're not a first-time offender yourself. The topic is... and it's not fashion grounds, don't worry. The topic is being connected causing us to disconnect from each other? So, Yeah, don't you give me that evil eye. Although I will tell you that I've done a lot of, I did some research on this topic, and what brought it up was, my dad constantly bugging me to get off my phone, but I have no defense for that. When I'm not with Maddie or my husband, I'm like, I don't have my laptop with me when I'm, at my parents' house. I get emails at all times from clients, so I am always checking, but I try to make sure when I'm with Maddie that I'm not doing that. However, new light has been shed, and I have been deemed a criminal of technology. And I bet you our listeners are going to be surprised that they are too. So I'm going to post the link to this show on the current CBC with Anna Marie Tremonti, and it was recently. The show was talking about how smartphones hurt our face-to-face relationships, but not just smartphones, tablets. Anything that technology that you engage with in your hand, and it takes your attention from elsewhere. So on the show, she had a woman from MIT and a best-selling author. Her name is Sherry Turkle, and Sherry has written this book, and the book is Reclaiming Conversation, the Power of Talk in a Digital Age. And she talks about the fact that, we are so engaged with our phones, but there's two elements to the story. One is us as adults, and two is how it is impacting children, and that is where it gets really, really upsetting. So I talk about that tonight, but I want to tell you a little bit about this story, and then after we chat for a bit, I want to tell you about my cousin who's an elementary teacher in Toronto, and when she heard this, she just about went ballistic because it hit the nails so hard on the head for her for what she and other teachers are dealing with in the school system at an elementary level with kids and technology, and how the lessons we're teaching our children about technology are destroying their empathy and their attention spans and their confidence. It would break your heart, and it will break your heart, and I'm going to tell you about it.
Oh, great.
So the one thing that...
Kleenex?
wine. Do we have wine?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the one thing that Sherry Turkle talks about is the reason why we are so addicted to our phones and tablets, and she says it offers us 4 false promises. One is that we'll always be heard, right? Because you're emailing, you're tweeting, you're Facebook posting. Someone's always there to hear you. You'll never be bored. You'll never be alone because you've got this audience through your phone. And you can put your attention anywhere you want it to be, right? If you're just in your car and you have nothing, your attention's on the road, it's wherever. But when you're on your phone, you can go anywhere. So, her, I should sort of say that if you listen to the interview, you'll understand that her argument is not that the phones are to blame. It is the way that we use them. And out of those 4 promises, we can see how all of them are detrimental. But the one big thing she talks about is boredom and how we are afraid to be bored. We don't want to be bored. But she said that, it's important to us to be bored because boredom is our imagination calling to us and telling us it's important to go inside and to cultivate our inner life. To do something. It's not good for us to flee from that boredom. We should sit with it and allow it, right? And I also believe she's right. It's suppressing our imagination. When you can just go and be fed information or call up anything you want or engage in a conversation at the drop of a hat, you are suppressing your imagination. You are not learning to think creatively. The world is coming to you. So it's also taking away from that sense, you and I have talked about this too, the need for solitude. And smartphones and tablets and constantly being on them, it's taking away our solitude. So we need that solitude to sort of create our sense of identity, and being distracted doesn't help with that, right? So what happens is we tend to go to other people for our sense of identity. How do they see us? How do they respond to us? We're giving them the power to identify us for us. I hadn't really thought about it in those terms, but then she moved on to something that will touch a lot of parents, people with kids, people without kids. It's just whenever you're out, you see this. You see moms on their phones all the time. You see nannies in the park with the kids playing, and they're on their phones. I get it. Hey, I have a 4-year-old. When she was born and we were home alone, and she was sleeping or nursing, I was on my phone. I needed to connect with people. I was lonely. Yes. And I get that. And moms are confined to different spaces, right? So their only sort of entertainment is their phone. It's their only sometimes connection to the outside world. And then there's the practical uses of knowing where play dates are and events are. But the thing is, what was disturbing was that she talked about the fact that we are using our phones as babysitters. We're, give your kid the phone, give your 3-year-old the phone. But what is happening is that children need eye contact, and they need you to talk to them in order for them to grow and to thrive. And when you don't give them that eye contact, they don't learn how to face people one-on-one. They go into themselves, much like you're doing on your phone. And by staying on your phone, like, you think it's just a baby, and then you're on your phone. Your kid's in the bath, you're on your phone. You're not talking to them, you're not looking at them, and you're depriving them of that eye contact. So, we're distracting ourselves, we're denying them, and they're not learning how to get they're not learning how to get that sense of connection because we're not giving it to them. Mm-hmm. So they they need to learn to respond to our face. So when you say, don't do this, or, you're explaining something to your child, it's not just the words that they're hearing. They're looking at your face and they're seeing how you really feel. Maybe you're hurt, maybe you're sad, maybe you're really proud and you're beaming, but you're not giving them that when you're doing this through technology.
Yeah, and look at what we were talking about before, like 90% of communication is body language.
Yeah.
So that poor kid doesn't understand body language.
Of course not.
They're not communicating.
And these are the formative years. This is what you're teaching them, to not connect with people, like face to face, eye to eye. You're teaching them not to do that. And they need that to identify with you as their mother and their father. So these children are growing up without these skills, and they're learning through studies that it's creating a significant empathy gap. And this gap is getting bigger and bigger. And we all know when people grow up without empathy, we have serious problems in our community and our environment. So, so what they've done is these studies, and they've learned these kids, they don't know how to respond to each other. They exclude each other. They've got 12-year-olds acting like 9-year-olds, I believe she said. They can't put themselves in the other child's place. So by college, they found a 40% decline in the past 20 years of the markers of empathy in these children. Wow. And my cousin's response to this is very interesting about why that 20 years is significant. I think it might have been the launch of one of the first iPhones.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah.
But not to mention, the kids that they studied, they have trouble telling a story. They have trouble reading. They have trouble with lulls. They can't stand lulls. They need to fill the lulls because they're used to having that information.
Yeah, noise.
They expect the world to be brought to them in a constant stream. We've talked about millennials. We've talked about this entitlement, and a lot of this is connected, I believe. I mean, they feel entitled because their parents would just hand stuff to them. They were too busy, with their own sort of whatever they were doing on their phone or their jobs or whatever. I'm not saying right or wrong or judging, but, these kids have also learned through technology that when they want something, it just comes to them right through their phones, right through their laptop, right through their tablet, right? So the other biggest fear, and of course as a parent, this is my fear, they don't want vulnerable moments. Kids don't. They're not comfortable with vulnerable moments because of that lack of face contact, that face-to-face. And so it frightens them, and they hide behind their screens to avoid it. So we're raising socially misadjusted children, unadjusted children. And, adults be shamed because we're setting the example. We can't blame kids. But, we're on, I know I've seen people do it. I've seen it in restaurants. People on their phones at dinner, at lunch, on the phone when your kid's in the bathtub. We're complaining about their behavior, but we're modeling that behavior for them. And we're using technology to exclude our children from our own lives, from our own, sense of who we are. So, anyway, the other danger is that when you're using a phone or a tablet as an adult, you're using that to edit who you are. You're, carefully crafting posts and posting images to create a representation of yourself that isn't even authentic. Right? And to your child, that's setting a really bad example because you're showing them that what they should present to the world is something that they've carefully crafted out.
Yeah, and what they are is not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. So, we want to show them to put their face forward, but what we're teaching them is to put their best face forward. And this goes back to what I said earlier about, showing your best face means hiding fear, anger, pain, and that's not the message you should be sending to your child. They need to learn not to be scripted. They need to learn to react and to, deal with other people's reactions, and you have to show them that it's okay that they made a mess or that they did this or they did that. You're there for them, but they're not getting this from us. So anyway, I found this really interesting, and also the last point that I really took heart and have listened to is that the law of 4 or the law of 3, if there's like 3 or more kids, they found, and you have to listen to this because I'm probably doing some damage to the credibility of this, but they found that kids, people in those kind of numbers, had lighter, less involved conversations, so that anytime anyone could opt out and get on their phone and not really miss anything. So they're not even having like deeper conversations because someone could depart the conversation at any time to get onto their phone. So even the things that we're talking about are being affected by technology.
Oh, God.
So how does that grab you?
Wow, that's heartbreaking.
It is, but I mean, from a child's standpoint, that is what we're passing on. But like, let's talk about adults. I mean,
yeah, like this phone thing. I mean, it's an addiction. Do you know? I go out for dinner with my 76-year-old mom, and I'm like, Mom, put the phone away.
You're kidding.
She wants to see what's going on Facebook. She's like, but I have to see. I'm like, okay, I'm here, so nothing's going on Facebook. No, I'm just kidding.
I am Facebook.
I'm your friend, and I am Facebook. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, and you know what I noticed I did last week? I posted something, and it got a lot of likes, and I didn't see my mom's name on it, and I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with Mom? Where is she? What's going on? Like, it's been 10 minutes, and she hasn't liked that picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's creating like
it's how we are calculating and engaging friendships and emotions, right?
That's right. And then I call my mom, what do you mean you posted? It didn't come in my newsfeed. Why isn't it coming in my newsfeed? I don't get it. I like everything you post. How could this, this is what's urgent?
This is a serious
This is
problem.
psychotic. Yeah.
But I have friends who will email me, and if I don't respond within an hour, is everything okay? Yes, I'm actually doing work. I have to turn off all my devices when I'm working because I have to focus because I'm writing. Mm-hmm. But to them, it's like, oh my gosh, she must have been hit by a bus. She hasn't responded to this text.
Yeah.
It's that immediacy that we expect, right? Instant gratification.
What the heck have we done?
But Greg and I were out for dinner the other night, and he and my dad say I'm bad on my phone, which is funny because my dad will get on his iPad, and once he's on his iPad, you could say his name 5 times and he won't even break. So he's just as guilty.
Right.
But so many people are. I'm kind of kidding about him, but no, he's very focused when he's on his iPad, and I'm very, I'm checking my phone constantly, so he's got intensity where I have frequency.
Yeah, it's like that man-woman.
Yeah, maybe.
Men, they do everything in silo. They're more focused, and we're like all over the place. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we're trying to do a million things sometimes. But yeah, and I do find I've been out with friends. Oh, so sorry, Greg and I were out for dinner, and these 2 girls were 2 tables over, and they sat down and said hi. You could tell they hadn't seen each other for a while. They ordered a drink, and they were waiting for their drink, and they were both on their phones. They didn't say a word to each other till their drinks got there. They weren't even communicating. They were probably Facebooking each other.
Wow.
So they weren't even talking.
Okay, as we're talking, Jacqueline is French braiding her hair. I'm so jealous.
Why? It's not French braid. Unless
that's French braid.
Le braid. No, French braid's when you
put in there, but it's still pretty good.
It's just like a Barbie braid. It's because my bangs
See,
are so
if you're always on your phone, you're never going to learn how to Barbie braid or French braid.
I need to go back to lift for my cut. But, it's so disturbing that it's become the norm.
It is, yeah. And how do we, we grew up in a time where this stuff is all new to us, so we have the foundation of being able to have conversation where we're looking into each other's eyes, and it's not an uncomfortable thing, but I don't even know what to say about that. Like, kids that they're just,
well, let me read you my cousin's response.
Oh boy.
You ready?
Yes, yeah,
it's really good.
Ready. Yeah,
I'm
excited to hear this.
She says, so my dad had sent all of us this, the link to the show, and of course we all found it very eye-opening. And for her, teaching this year, she said, obviously this is like really remarkable timing. She said that they've discovered, she's thinking that this book and this sort of theory has helped her discover why the students that she has this year are so obnoxiously rude and disrespectful.
Oh.
She said they're
What
fearless.
grade, Jacqueline? Sorry?
I
Do you know?
don't know. Actually,
Okay.
I think it's 2.
Okay.
I will have to check and I'll
Yeah.
find out. But she said that they're fearless and they're practically unteachable. I mean,
Wow.
she's been a teacher for a very long time.
Wouldn't that be fascinating to see like the same age year after year
Yeah.
and how that group changes?
Yeah. Like and you know, well, I'll read you the rest, but it, you know, like even in the schools they're giving kids iPads and allowing them screen time, which, you know, is in one way it's a teaching tool, but when you just let them watch it all the time and communicate through it, that's where you get into these problems. So she goes on to say, and this is her theory, which I think is amazing. She said, they were born the same year that Apple released its first iPhone, and I've been looking into connection between this and the behavior, the likes of which we have never seen before. Oh, she's in grade 3. The kids in all of our grade 3 classes this year, and she's talking about the classes leading up to grade 3, they're showing signs of an epidemic, of a lack of self-control, attachment issues to adults, attention-seeking behaviors, aggression, active dislike of others and themselves, and lack of empathy and care for anything. She said they act as though they have absolutely nothing to lose, and it makes finding consequences for misbehavior impossible because they just don't give a rat's ass about anything. Nothing you say or do is a threat to them or a promise. So they're just going to do what they want whenever they want, and they don't care if you don't like it. So this is a teacher trying to control these children.
I was just going to say something very bad, and I'm not going to say it.
No. She said, it turns out that babies learn all these kinds of things as infants from eye contact and hours of face-to-face contact and interactions with their caregivers, mostly their moms. They learn self-regulation and emotional control, as well as gain a sense of security and attachment and general well-being from lots of actual FaceTime. And not FaceTime that is on the iPad.
Yeah, like a real face.
But, you know, like to her point and what I said earlier, give a bored new mom who's stuck at home with a newborn a fancy new iPhone, and she's got the world at her fingertips, right? Like all of a sudden she's not lonely and insular. She feels like she's out there and part of everything, you know, FOMO, fear of missing out. So she's texting and surfing and, you know, social media, Facebook, like you and I just talked about. However, her baby is looking up every few minutes to make contact with her, but all she sees is mom staring down at her phone. Mom even gets annoyed when baby interrupts her phone time. So she then gets baby her own electronic device to play with educational apps, of course. But this goes on hour after hour and day after day, so neural pathways in the brains of the babies aren't being formed, and the baby ends up in grade 3, 8 years later, with no self-regulation skills, anxiety coming out of the yin-yang, and attention-seeking behaviors that shut the daily lessons down every few seconds. So she's saying that this is a whole new breed. They're calling it an epidemic, and they've never seen anything like it, and nothing is working. So it's scary to be an experienced teacher, obviously, and not to have a clue how to get these children's attention. So anyway, it's good to spread the word on behalf of my brilliant cousin who's going through this. I'm sure she's one of many teachers. I would love to hear. I know I have friends who are teachers. I'm going to ask them to listen to this podcast because I would love them to weigh in on this.
Yeah, same.
And what's the answer? Like, if they've already developed these habits up until like the grade 3s, is there an answer? Can you undo this damage? Can you turn this around? Like, what happens? Are they just a lost generation?
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I'm powerless to say what you could do with a child in grade 3, but I have a kid in JK, and I can tell you that after reading my cousin's information and listening to this program, I'm not going to do that around Maddie anymore. I mean, I'm very careful that if she's watching a TV show, I'll be on my phone beside her, but she's sitting beside me. She doesn't see me looking up or down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of am doing it behind her back.
Yeah.
But
you also give her attention when she needs it, right? Like
we do, but I could do better. And after reading this and hearing this show on it, I'm so deeply disturbed by it that I even want to take away the iPad. You know?
Yeah.
Like, we go out for lunch and we know that children her age don't love to sit in a restaurant. We give her the iPad. But that's not encouraging her to have conversation with us.
Yeah.
It's not encouraging her to be patient.
You know, I wonder if what, you just take it back to what we did, like bring a coloring book.
Yeah.
Because that stimulates creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and it also creates conversation.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
I've noticed in Maddie a severe lack of patience. Now, Maddie is only 4, and she does not have the iPad very often. Maybe once a week,
Yeah.
and maybe once every 2 weeks is more like it.
Yeah.
But I still notice she's very impatient. So this, of course, makes me wonder. Is even that little bit making her feel like, well, I've got the TV, or I've got the iPad, or, or I can talk to mommy, or I can talk to daddy, or I can play, she never really has a lot of downtime.
But, I think, and this is only from looking at my own friends. So I have a lot of friends that when they had kids 15 years ago, and I don't have kids, so, you kind of course, you're looking and you're judging, oh, that's not how I was raised, and why is my friend doing this, whatever.
Yeah.
All of my friends that I can think of were really, really into stimulation, like giving the kids something to constantly occupy their minds. But because this is back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, that wasn't about iPads and all this electronic stuff. And they're also sort of anti that, right? They're our age,
right,
having had kids in their late 20s or
right.
early 30s. Those kids are brilliant today. Those kids are going to university, they have good friends, they have productive relationships, they communicate well with their parents. I think it's about making a choice on what kind of stimulation you're going to give your kid. And at that time, when I think of those friends and when I was looking at them, I'm like, God, leave the kid alone. Like, just let it be. Why are you constantly giving it a toy, giving it a coloring book, asking it to recite math thing, asking for this, asking for this? But all of the things that they were stimulated by were good things. And I think that in retrospect, those friends may have done that because when you look at the way we were raised, go play outside, leave mommy and daddy alone.
Yeah.
Get out of here. I don't care. I'm having a cup of coffee. You'll sit here and be quiet or you're going in the car, right?
Yeah.
That's how we were raised. So those friends came prepared with things to occupy their child with when they knew the kid was going to get bored, which I didn't really understand. But now I see those kids, they're amazing, brilliant, rounded children going through, some friends are going through hard times in marriage. Some friends have been through divorce. The kids, I'm sure they have problems, but they're probably more okay than we would have been because of this, right? But this is scary what you're talking about now because it's another way to occupy the kid. But you're right, the whole human element has been taken away. As much as my friends did that stimulation crap, the reason I got so annoyed with it was because when I would be with them, I wouldn't get the attention from the friend. It went to the kid. Well, now we're going to color. Why don't we talk to Monica about what we're coloring? What is it you're trying to... And I'm like, I don't care what your kids color. But now it's like, no, I need to talk to Monica. Go play on your iPad in the corner there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, totally.
Completely different.
It is completely different. And, and there's so many screens that they have access to. It's disturbing because we might be the last generation of people with an attention span if we're not careful.
Yeah, and look at what happens to us, Jacqueline. I think of the last year I've been trying to, finalize my website. I'm going to launch it in January. It's going to be really exciting, but I thought it would take me 3 months to do it. It's taken me a year. And through it, it's been rewarding. I'm not regretting that it has taken a year because there's a lot of self-discovery, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But if I didn't have other things distracting me, which involved all this social, and it's an important part of the business, I'm not saying that, but if I just said to myself, okay, you know what, for 3 months, no social networking. I'm just taking myself off. Mm-hmm. I would have had that site done in 3 months.
Yeah. And I also think, these kids, they're going to lose the art of conversation.
Yeah.
How are they going to socialize? They don't like FaceTime. Mm-hmm. They're afraid of confrontation. They're very self-conscious of being face-to-face.
So when you say they're afraid of confrontation, so they're afraid of confrontation, I agree with. And then on the other side of things, they're not afraid of repercussions of their actions. They have no fear of a teacher, of an adult.
I think I made afraid of confrontation up just now.
But
they're afraid of vulnerability.
Okay.
Of what face-to-face gives you, right? You're very vulnerable when you're in front of somebody. You see everything, body language. You can read through what someone's saying just by looking at how they're reacting, right? Mm-hmm. They're afraid of that, from what I'm hearing in my cousin's response, and also in Sherry Turkle's book, and there are no consequences. What are the consequences? I don't really know where the lack of consequence comes from, but I mean, for Maddie, there's a consequence for everything she does when she's been told not to. But I don't know if this is suggesting that parents have, just given over to technology and aren't even disciplined. I don't believe that's the case.
And one consequence that's unfortunate is if, I will take the iPad away, right?
That's a huge consequence.
But how many parents want to do that? Because if they take the iPad away, all of a sudden they have to deal with the kid.
And that's a sad thing, right? Like, you go through so much to have a child, just so what, you can ignore them? Like, let an iPad raise your child? Really? Like, I don't, when Maddie comes home from school, I let her unwind for a little bit, but that's kind of the nice part of the night, is when even though she won't really tell me much about school, we're just kind of hanging out. Mm-hmm. That's the nice part of the night, and then I have to go make dinner. And then it's bath time or bedtime or whatever. But I would say that when it's one-on-one with Maddie, I'll go in and check my email in the kitchen from time to time, usually when she's doing something else. But I'm not standing there doing it unless she's having a play date with someone.
Right.
And I am aware of that, but only because I feel like I need to be monitoring and what she's doing, but also I do actually genuinely want to spend that time with her. But I'm more aware now of the looking down at a screen and the lack of eye contact. Like, that actually made me really sad. Yeah.
You must have a Maddie moment with this. Do you? Like, do you have anything?
Well, I have a Maddie moment this week that was funny. Actually, it totally ties into this because... so Maddie had a play date, and now they're playing sisters with their Barbie dolls. Everything is sisters. Hey, sister. Hey, big sister. And then they were playing teenagers the other night.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that was a good one. So that one got recorded because they were down here in her mini girl cave playing teenagers with Barbies, her and her friend. And then the mean mother came in. And I could tell that I was the mean mother. She was ripping off some of my lines. I could tell. And then
plagiarizing.
And then the one little teenager Barbie doll said to the mother doll, I guess the mother doll came in and said something and was scolding them in a mean way, which I don't do. And then the teenage girl doll said, "Don't worry, sister. We can do what we want. We're teenagers."
I love it.
So I emailed her mom right away and just said, "Thank God we have wine, because this is what we're fast tracking to." They are 4 and they know it all. Or they think that they're going to know it all when they're teenagers, which means they think they know it all now.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
Listening to them play sisters and teenagers is funny, because whenever the mom character comes in, I know that's me.
I love it. Jacqueline.
So,
wow.
Anyway, it is an interesting conversation, but I really think, you can be told something so many times, but hearing it framed this way really, really unnerved me and opened my eyes to this, that it is a crisis.
That's right.
And it should be shared with as many parents and teachers as possible.
For sure. And the people that I feel like empathetic towards as well are parents that are aware of it, and they are trying not to, put their kids so much in technology and trying to give them genuine, like, childhood experiences that don't involve a computer or an iPad or whatever. And then these kids become friends with kids that are raised with the, machine in front of them. And, like, how does all that work when the parenting is so completely different? Like, that's the other thing, when we were raised, everybody parented the same way. Well, there were differences, but for the most part, people parented the same way. I don't remember kids that I hung out with at school, their parents being a lot different to my parents in terms of what the values were in the.
But they didn't
now
have reason
there's-
to be diverse, right?
Yeah,
Like,
now there's
we have
like
different
such
types of schools for different types of children now.
exactly.
You know, you can go to an outdoor school, you can go to an artsy school. Like, there's so much diversity and choice, and we can be all different parents, and that's fine. But you're right, like, little friends of Maddie, they're not little, they're older boys. They only get like an hour a week of screen time, and screen time meaning computer, which is great. But then they go and they play with other boys, and in the winter everyone's inside, and they go to the other boys' house to play, and then they're downstairs playing video games. So it negates the work the parents are doing on the screen time, right? So you can see how it's going to be a problem. I can see how it's going to be a problem because what if, I'm successful in keeping Maddie to a little bit of iPad every couple of weeks, but then her friends want to play a game on the computer or something. Like, you just, it's like you tell your kid they can't have sugar, and then everyone around them is eating sugar. How do you control that?
Yeah, that's very,
But when
very
you
difficult.
learn the consequences, the lack of self-regulation, the attention span, the lack of consequence is a dangerous one. Because consequence is usually what keeps us in order.
Yeah.
I mean, when you hear all these things, then you are acutely aware that you have to do something.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's tough. And even think of us when we were kids. Like, I remember if I went to someone's house, when you go to that person's house, you abide by their rules. And if they're going to serve you a meal, you ask if you can help with the dishes. You eat what they put on the plate. You play the games that they put out for you. You are in their home, and you will respect their home.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation where kids are old enough, and, like, we all make dinner and put out this great spread, and then the kids go lie on the couch. They don't take their plates to the sink. They don't help out. I'm like, I was not raised like that. I was not raised to be lazy and be
why
served.
is it that our generation is doing that? Why do you think that's happening?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's, parenting is hard. Disciplining is hard. It's hard to discipline for me because I feel mean doing it. And I know I'm not being mean, but it's hard. Hard to see your kid cry. Hard to see your child unhappy. And I think the easy way out is to give in.
Yeah, that's true. And also working hard. We have other stresses that maybe our parents didn't have that are causing us to not be as consistent.
Well, and our parents also had, both my parents worked and they had less time, which meant they needed our help, and that wasn't a bad thing.
Right. Well, yeah, that's why you'd think it would work now, right? Have you ever heard, not that I follow this woman at all, but my mom and I, for a laugh, sometimes when we're driving to Florida, we'll tune into Dr. Laura on XM radio, and she's just so...
I've heard of her.
She's very... we don't need to link up to her.
No, why?
But it's so funny. There's one thing she always says that makes me laugh, and she says, our children come into this world uncivilized, and as parents, it is our duty to civilize them.
Okay. Well, yeah,
like
sort of, but yes, that's like saying we must raise our children. That's like such a bland statement. What does that even mean?
I know.
Why don't we need to listen to her? What is she all about?
Oh, she's pretty funny. She's very all about, like, if you're going to be with a man, you're not going to live with him before, and you're going to... Anyway, I won't quote some of the things she said because it's pretty... Yeah, but anyways...
So she's pretty old school?
So she'll... Yeah, this is so off topic. Do you want me to go there with her quotes, with what she says?
I'll throw one. Come on.
Okay, so what she'll say is a woman will call in and she'll say, my partner and I are having problems with this, this, and this. And she'll say, okay, so first of all, you know what my question is going to be. Do you have a ring on your finger? And the woman will say, no, I don't. So, and you're living with this man. Yes, I am. Okay, so you're an unpaid whore. Continue. So she talks.
You're kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Now I'm going to Google
it.
She's horribly judgy.
It's so judgy. I know, and it's so funny because my mom and I will listen to it just to go, I can't believe she said that. I can't believe it. But then after about half an hour, I go, Mom, I got to turn it off. It's actually making me stressed out. Like, I can't listen to this anymore.
That woman got off the phone with worse problems than she called in with.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Laura. Wow, okay,
Anyway,
we're not linking her.
She's got her audience, but
yeah, she did. She
But
did keep
hey.
them. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is. I
don't know how it went to that.
There's a few things I want to put out there. Parents who have noticed this epidemic, this situation. Do you have tips on how to sort of keep your kids away from technology? Are there any ideas of how you can turn this around for the kids who are already impacted by the damage of years of this training? And, stuff I always love to read online and is great imaginative, creative things to do with your kid that don't involve technology. I love hearing how people, help their children with reading or math or just to be creative, like fun ideas.
Oh, for sure.
I love when people share them. But also as adults, right? Like, we need that creative stimulation, too, to take us away from our own technology and our reliance on it.
Yeah.
And part of that is allowing ourselves to be bored, but part of it is, doing something constructive. I have big plans for my house. Every week I have like 3 big things I want to do. Guaranteed by the end of the week I've done one, because in the moments I had downtime, I would go to Facebook or Twitter. I wouldn't come down and clean the basement.
What the heck? I know. Yeah. You know what would be fun to do with your kid?
What?
A word of the day.
I should do a word of the day. I can imagine.
It would be good. And here's one kids would love. Poppycock.
Okay, that reminds me of that caramel corn. A poppycock. Isn't it an animal? Oh, no.
Use it in a sentence, please.
Okay, is it a verb or I don't need to know spell it?
Is,
verb or no?
You know what it is?
Oh, you.
It's, I guess is it a verb?
What? Do you know the...
It's not a thing, so... But it's not really an action either.
Action?
No, it's a noun.
It's a noun?
Yeah. It's a noun.
Oh my God. All right, I got it. Farmers who want to reap financial rewards for more than one crop will often grow poppies alongside of their chicken coop, producing a hybrid of poppycock.
That is so awesome, but it's wrong.
Really, I'm so surprised that that's wrong. Okay, what is it?
I'm going to use it in a sentence now, and you're still going to have to guess. Okay? Just switch
I have
it
a
up
feeling that
little.
when you use it in a sentence, I'll still be confused.
I actually could have done this to Maddie the last time I saw her, because Maddie was... she was pulling her eyes, like she was like looking at me, like going, "Look at my eyes," like drooping them. And what I wanted to say to her, but I didn't because I don't want to damage her.
Well, thank you.
Is I wanted to say to her, if you keep making crazy faces at me like that, your face would stay like that, and then, but she would know that I was full of poppycock.
Crap. It's crap. Is it crap?
It's
S-H-I-T?
Yeah, you know what? I'll give you the full definition.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Have you ever listened to someone trying to talk about something like they know absolutely nothing about? Like, when they're saying...
Like our podcast.
Was completely untrue and they insist on continuing to talk. Yeah.
Yes.
Or when someone has told you some so-called facts and they're totally wrong, it's highly likely that they're talking poppycock.
Like my earlier fact that children are afraid of confrontation.
Yeah.
Which I kind of pulled out of nowhere. I'm like, well, lump that one in there.
Yeah.
Well, why did they come out with that caramel corn with peanut mix and call it poppycock? It's like, here's a can of crap.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why. It says here, no laughing. Poppycock has nothing to do with poppies, a type of flower, or cocks, a male bird, and a slang term for a man's intimate body parts.
Oh, well, gee, thanks for defining
Poppycock actually comes from the Dutch word pappekak, which is made from pap, soft, and kak, poop.
Oh.
It's been part of English since the 1800s. Another word that's been part of...
you all retro.
Oh, yeah.
Retro
but
from
wouldn't
the
it be fun
1800s?
with your kids? Say, go to school and use that word, poppycock.
It would when she's older. I would not give her poppycock, though. That's not the word I would give her.
Wabbit.
I would give her
Let's
a
start with
much less risque word because I don't need notes from the school.
Yeah.
I'll say, but at least she read it in a book and not online.
Yeah. Mommy's podcast, not good for you. Stay out of girl
This
cave.
is rated 18 plus. Or no, 19 because you have to have wine. Anyway, I'm going to post links to that. I hope you get to listen to it later. And hopefully you're not damaging Boink with your all of your technology at home.
That's a good point, though. You know what? She looks at me when I'm on the technology overload. She's like, "What? Why aren't we playing? What are you doing?"
Because if I play with you, I'll miss out what's going on Facebook.
Yeah, goddammit. When I could just post a picture of you on Facebook, then everybody can tell me how cute you are, and then I don't have to look how cute you are myself.
I'm going to post a picture of us playing, so I don't actually have to play with you. I can just post a picture saying we're playing, and that makes it so.
Yeah. Okay, cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Thanks for tonight. That was fun. That was a good topic. And I hope that I hope our listeners will really share this and with other parents and friends because I think it is worthy of a big discussion. And I think that since we're the ones who taught them, this technologically, socially challenged behavior, we're the ones who have to fix it.
Yeah.
So,
and beware friends that are teachers because I'm going to tag you. And
beware teacher friends. You're all
getting
getting
time
tagged.
away from your kid to listen to this for an hour. Tell them to shove it up.
And
while you give them
unfortunately, your child can't listen because Monica dropped too many F-bombs this time. I do want to thank my cousin, who is a incredibly talented teacher and very good with children. And if she's struggling, then I'm telling you, all teachers are struggling. So I appreciate your plight, and I hope we can help you. So anyway, till next week, my friend, let's podcast later.
Later.